September 21st. I'm Rim.
And I'm Scott.
And this is Geeknights. Tonight, we.
Let's do this.
When you're a kid and you wanna go Wii, but you ain't got drugs yet.
You go down to the Nintendo store, and you get a Wii!
Motherfucker, wee!
So what, Sunday, I woke up, I was sick, I went down to the city on the train, listening to my iPod and some podcasts on the way there. Get off the train, go to Nintendo store, I got a pre-order. I'm guaranteed to walk away with a Wii.
Meanwhile, I am in bed, completely asleep.
Yeah, they got thousands of Wiis there. There's no chance they're not going to have one for me. The line went from the Nintendo store and almost around the block. I was on the exact opposite side of the block, so it was 3 sides of a block away. And this guy from the Nintendo store is standing at the end of the line, and he says, you know, you might be in line here till after 5 p.m. when we'll close. He said that we don't think we can actually process all these people before we close, because it'll take too long, and we only have 6 registers.
See, now, I gotta say, if I were in charge of the Nintendo store, if I were the general manager there, I would have taken a page out of the playbook for a lot of conventions, a lot of other events. I would have set up temporary extra cash registers. You can rent them for very little money.
That's what I was saying. They had employees that were just managing the line.
Oh,
and
not only that.
they had excess employees there.
Those registers often come with people to man them. You can, for very little money, rent cashiers who are very good at what they do, and it costs you almost nothing. They could have just set them up outside even and just process people as fast as possible.
Yep. Instead, they kind of processed people slowly. I think the problem is it was sort of inefficient. Everyone wanted something different, you know, and some people had pre-orders and some people didn't, and it was a little bit tricky, you know. Some people wanted different games, and they also wanted to make sure nothing got stolen and all that jazz.
See, I would have done something else, too. I would have said pre-orders from this time to this time, or pre-orders only day 1. Day 2, free-for-all.
I actually think before I got there from 6 to 8, I heard, I don't know if this is fact, that they did pre-orders only for 2 hours.
2 hours. Great.
Yeah. But anyway, what they did, there was one big line going around the store, and I was in this line, and it actually moved a lot faster than they said it would. I was in the store at like noon.
They were probably trying to trick people into not standing there to make the line
I think that's what they were doing. But what they did, it was really, essentially, there was a line for pre-order people and a line for non-pre-order people, even though there wasn't physically 2 separate lines. So what this guy did is he would go down the line, and he would say, who has a pre-order? And he would take the people who at the front who had pre-orders and, you know, say, go to the head of the class, and you would go into the store. And after people left the store, he would go down the line and pick out more pre-order people and get them into the store. So eventually, I was led into the store way ahead of the people I was standing there.
Meanwhile, I'm still asleep.
Yep. At noon?
I might have gotten up around 11.
Yeah, anyway.
Maybe. I don't remember.
So, about the line, the only thing really I have to say about the line is it wasn't an exciting line as, you know, say the Miyamoto line or anything. There weren't lots of fanboys with all sorts of stuff. I mean, one guy had a Link costume. Some people had Nintendo shirts. Not actually that many DSs, really. But the line primarily consisted of people who were at least 20 years old. There were some parents with kids. You know, there were some teenage punk kids, but mostly it was 20-plus-year-old people who all were going to buy the Wii and play it.
As opposed to homeless people hired by greedy capitalists to exploit the masses.
Yeah. So actually, everyone near me, you know, they weren't the kind of people I would make friends with and hang out with all the time, but they were cool people, and they had entertaining and intelligent conversation for a few hours, you know, talking about mostly video games and such. Like, oh, what games are you going to buy? Oh, what games you been playing lately? Do you like this kind of game? Et cetera, et cetera.
Any DSs in the line?
Yeah, there were. I already said there were some, but not as many as lines previous.
Did you have yours?
Nope.
What?
I left it at home. I didn't want to carry anything because I knew I was going to have to carry a bunch of shit back.
You mean one bag?
I didn't want to carry extra shit. Plus, I wasn't feeling well.
True.
And it was cold. I wanted to keep my hands in my pockets.
So you could have worn gloves and played your DS, or
Can't
possibly
play DS with gloves.
Yeah, you can.
No, you can't.
In fact, today I was playing my DS with gloves on.
I don't have like tight leather gloves.
See, I got all the gloves I own. I have one pair of gigantic ski gloves, and everything else are tight leather gloves I got for $4 or less in Chinatown.
I think I'm gonna get new gloves and hat this season.
Totally bootleg. One of them is.
You know what's kind of annoying is the only thing I wanted to buy besides a Wii is I wanted a new wool hat, and I saw these people walking around with these white Wii wool hats, and I was like, oh, I want one. They gave them away at the Toys R Us midnight launch. I couldn't get one. I was so pissed. Maybe I'll find one on eBay for like $10. That's about what I'm willing to pay, $10. Yeah. So eventually got inside, waited in line in the store for an hour, got to the front, bought my Wii. The only thing they didn't have Trauma Center. They didn't have that Marvel game, whatever. They didn't have every game at the Nintendo World Store. But the games they did have, they had an essentially infinite supply. They had an essentially infinite supply of Wii, and they had an essentially infinite supply of Wiimotes and nunchucks. But they weren't letting people buy more than one extra Wiimote and one extra nunchuck, so we can only play 2-player games right now.
Which is kind of annoying because we had 4 people over. Well, not 5 people. We really wanted to play Wii games with a lot of people, and we couldn't.
I'm sure in a few weeks that we will be able to buy Wiimotes and nunchucks, and we'll be all good. But right
probably.
now, every store is almost completely sold out, and reports around the country are pretty much agreeing that not only is the Wii sold out, but the nunchucks and the Wiimotes are sold out as well. But games are not sold out. You can get games aplenty.
Now, some people said, doesn't matter, because in some areas you could get Wiimotes but not nunchucks. And in some areas, you could get nunchucks, but not Wiimotes.
Yes, this is one annoying thing, is that the Wiimote is $40 retail, and the nunchuck is $20. Now, this is good in the long run, because let's say my nunchuck breaks. I can go buy a new one for $20. That's cool. Instead of having to buy a Wiimote nunchuck combination for, say, $50 or $60. However, in the short run, this kind of sucks, because, what if you basically have to send every store, like 3 Wiimotes and 3 nunchucks for every single Wii the store gets to make sure there are enough out there. And it doesn't balance out, apparently. And some multiplayer games, you only need the Wiimote. And some multiplayer games, you need both. So it's, I'd like to only buy like 2 Wiimotes, or 4 Wiimotes and 2 nunchucks. But Monkey Ball, there's some things where you need 4 Wiimotes and 4 nunchucks.
See, I think the way it'll work out is that I would expect everyone I know to own their own Wiimote and just bring it wherever they go.
That's what I would expect also. But at the steep price of $40, it's a little tough,
What? No, it isn't. Not for our friends.
I guess.
Maybe for
some
other
of them
people.
are really poor, though.
I wasn't really pointing out other people, just us.
Oh, so in the end, I got the Wii, I got on the train, I came home, and then it was Wii time.
Now, we'll get to all that after the news, but we're not going to do the news.
But here's the news. The Wii came out.
Yeah.
We got it.
Actually,
There's
not
a
really
short
news.
supply of Wiimotes and nunchucks.
We'll probably talk about this next week, but the news media has generally had the consensus, and there have been a lot of reports to the effect that there were a lot of problems in the PS3 launch lines. A lot of crime, a lot of robberies, a lot of injuries, a lot of trouble. There were no, as far as I saw, reported incidents in any Wii line anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And considering that more people lined up for the Wii because there were more Wiis, and there were still people who didn't get Wiis, I think that a different kind of crowd was trying to get the Wii as opposed to trying to get the PlayStation 3.
Gasp. The obvious is to win.
So in the interest of going to bed, since we are still a little sick, more so Scott than me with his Sepacol or Sepacol or however we've decided to pronounce it.
Yeah, it's a tough call in the pronunciation of Sepacol. I've always said Sepacol, but I look at the box now and there's a line over the E. And if I remember correctly, that means long vowel sound. And if you know the long vowel sound of E is E, so it could be Sepacol.
Yeah? See, I've never actually used that. I usually use Halls or Chloroseptic.
Sepacol basically started out as a chloroseptic spray, like the first one, and it was wicked powerful because it uses benzocaine and also menthol, or Halls is just menthol if I remember right. And so they eventually, it did so well on the market, they made the throat lozenge. And it's basically the most powerful mouth and throat numbing thing you can get over the counter. So if you have a sore throat and you just need it to go away, Sepacol.
Way to go, product placement.
Yep.
Yeah, but we
I'll
decided
endorse a product that works.
to skip the news and go right to the things of the day. And we're going to be real to the point about our things of the day because they're
More
very
to the point than we were about Supercall.
they're very simple things of the day. I just like saying that.
Okay.
Yeah. So, actually, it's 2 Yuko things of the day in a row, mostly because I'm lazy and I haven't seen anything funny on the internet, and I don't really want to talk about the kid getting tasered or Kramer being a racist. So,
We'll save that for next week.
enjoy this video of a bunch of Siamese kittens versus a bunch of bananas hanging from strings.
Oh, man.
It's really freaking cute.
All right, mine is a little animation video thing made by some obviously punk kids, possibly college kids. They put Post-it notes on a glass pane, and they made stop-motion animation by moving the Post-it notes around and taking pictures.
Right.
It's pretty cool. I like the way it dances.
So, without further ado,
You motherfucker, Wii!
the Wii.
So, after the long ordeal at the Nintendo store, I received the Wii that I rightfully pre-ordered, and I brought it home on the choo-choo train and was not mugged. And the first thing I knew about the Wii, before opening it, was, God damn, is it motherfucking small.
It's a really little box compared to what you might expect.
Like, people were walking out of the Nintendo store with these pretty small bags, and I was like, what? Did that guy not buy a Wii? What? And I was like, no, wait. The Wii fits in that bag. Oh, shit. And then you get in the store and you see these boxes, and they're so small. I mean, it's bigger than a GameCube box, but that's because it comes with a bunch of extra manuals. I mean, they're putting everything in English, Spanish, and French, where before, the other languages they didn't concentrate on so much. And they got to stick a Wiimote in there and a sensor bar and all that other stuff. But if they didn't do that, the Wiimote itself is so small. Oh my God! I'm going to take a picture while you're editing the podcast of the Wiimote next to a Mac Mini, so everyone can see.
Yeah, and compared to the Wii,
Yeah.
I got to say,
the
though,
Wii next to the
I got
Mac
to say,
Mini.
I wish and I hope that Apple and Nintendo would do some fun things together, make a little incestuous love child. Because I got to say, the Wii looks real slick next to that Mac Mini, and I feel like the two of them should do something together. I feel like my Wiimote should work with Bluetooth on the Mac.
We tried to get it to work. We tried to make the Wiimote Bluetooth work as a pointing device for the Mac Mini,
But granted,
and it didn't work.
we tried the minimal amount of trying
We tried the minimal
possible.
out of it. We said, does this work right away with no modifications?
And
No, it doesn't.
It almost did until we had to type the passkey into the Wiimote.
Yeah. All right. So,
Unboxing the Wii was really very different in experience from the unboxing of any other console I've ever had.
well, basically, it had like these numbers on parts of the box so that idiots and people who don't know how to set up computer, audio, visual, electronics equipment could follow.
Well, no, actually, there's a trend lately in a lot of things, because I didn't talk about this yet, but I'd installed some printers at work. Giant, expensive HP printers. And the cool thing was, it came in this special package with all this fancy cardboard folded in fancy ways, so that you open it, and each part of the package comes out in a special way, and it makes it really easy to unpack and protects the thing really well.
Oh. No,
Packaging science has come a long way.
yeah, the Wii box, you open it up and it says 1, 2. Obviously, you pull out number 1 first, do what number 1 says, then pull out number 2 and do what number 2 says, and et cetera, et cetera. Look, we just took the Wii out, we plugged in the sensor bar, put it on top of the TV, plugged it into the wall with the relatively small power cable. When we plugged in, what else? Oh, the AV cables right into the back of the TV.
Yep, we still got to get the component cable.
Yep. We pushed the power button, and we were good to go.
We were Wiiing.
We were Wiiing.
Now, the first thing we noticed, because Scott experienced it first, he's holding the Wiimote. We didn't even put the sensor bar up really right. We just kind of tossed it on top of the TV. It went as fast as possible. Get it going, turn it on. It was pretty much perfect. The Wiimote, no matter how poorly you set your room up, the Wiimote pretty much just works.
As a pointing device in the menus of the Wii channels area and all the Wii, the Wii operating system interface, it's pretty much like a mouse, but you hold it in your hand. I mean, it works with optical mouse technology. We basically learned this over time, is that the sensor bar, all it really does is it has some infrared LEDs in it that blink, and the Wiimote has a camera that looks for these LEDs, sort of like your optical mouse has a camera that looks at the table. So when you move the Wiimote around, trying to use it as a pointing device, not as its other functions, but it can tell if it's moving left or if it's moving right or up or down, and then the arrow on the screen moves accordingly. And as a pointing device to pick different items on the screen, it's pretty much perfect, unless you have infrared interference.
Yep, now there are a lot of cool people trying to figure out exactly how this works, because basically your Wiimote is kind of like a camera, so people are trying to figure out now how high resolution is it, how sensitive is it. If you want to really see this well, take a digital camera, especially an older one, or one you can remove the IR filter from, and take a picture or look at your your bar, the sensor bar, and you'll see a whole bunch of lights coming out of it.
Yep. If you run Monkey Ball calibration mode, you can actually see what the camera in the Wiimote sees.
Yeah, it gives you a semi-raw dump, straight up.
Yep. And it's basically 2 blinking dots, and that's what's in the sensor bar. So it's pretty, that's how it works.
Yeah.
Now, the Wiimote also does other things. You can rotate it in pretty much every different direction and flick it in different directions. And these accelerometers in the Wiimote, which are pretty much average run-of-the-mill accelerometers from an electronics shop, they detect when you rotate it or move it. So, for example, in the Wii menu, your cursor isn't an arrow like on every computer. It's a hand with a finger pointing up. And it has a number in the middle of it. So player 1 has a blue hand with the number 1. And player 2 has a red hand with the number 2. But you don't know what players 3 and 4 are. I imagine it's green and some other color.
Yellow, probably.
Yeah, probably.
Totally guessing.
But you move the Wiimote around like you're trying to point at the screen, and the hand moves around.
If you just rotate, this was one of the shining moments. Scott rotated his hand, his wrist, just a little bit.
I flipped it over so it was all gangsta style. And the hand on the screen flipped over, and now instead of the finger pointing up, the finger was pointing down. It's pretty cool.
Now, in general, I mean, in terms of unboxing the thing and plugging it in, aside from all that, this was the first console where, after we plugged it in, we went for almost 2 hours before we put even a single game into this thing.
Yeah, I mean, when I set up the GameCube, which is the last console we got, it took me a few minutes to set the time and date, and it took me like a minute or two to check the memory card thing to see how it worked, and then popped in Luigi's Mansion, which is the only game that day, and we were off. But the Wii, first I had to set up the internet connection. Then I had to put my Wii points that I bought 2,000 Wii points on a card. I had to install them into the Wii store. Then we had to make Mii's. Then we had to try everything else before we even played a game.
We'll get to the Mii's.
That we will.
There's a lot of stuff to do. The Wii by itself is fairly entertaining and has potential for great amounts of entertainment.
Yeah. I was disappointed, however, that the Opera browser, the news channel, and the weather channel are not yet available. I'm still waiting for those because I was really looking forward to that. But
yeah, I got a couple guesses. The weather one, I don't know. Maybe it's not ready yet. Maybe they want to wait until the Wii's are already on. They have an idea of how many are out there online before they put these servers live.
Yeah, I don't know. But
the Opera browser, my guess is that the reason it is not working yet and not available yet is that they are trying to make sure there is some sort of don't let children see pornography or run into child predators option, and they want to make sure it works because Nintendo is so paranoid about that.
Yeah. There was a thing when I turned the Wii on for the first time. It asked me, do you want to set parental controls? Do you want to do this and that? And I just said no to all of it, of course, because we don't need parental controls in our house. But there it is. If you're a parent and you care about that sort of thing, I imagine it works via the ESRB system because I can't imagine what other system it would work by.
Actually, in America, it works by the ESRB. In Japan, it works by another system that they use. Oh, really?
You know this for sure?
I read an article about this morning.
Oh, okay, so apparently...
I don't have the article in front of me, so take my 5-minute reading's word on it, but at least in America, it goes by the ESRB. Obviously, this doesn't work for GameCube games.
Yeah, of course. So for Wii games, you can just set it, only play games that are T or less. And you need a parental unlock, I guess, to play any other game.
Yeah, I think there's a code you can, you set a code, and then you can enter the code to override it.
Yeah.
Or, I don't know. We didn't really actually play with that, obviously.
All right, so let's talk about the console a little bit. When you put discs into it, it grabs the disc the way the Mac Mini does, only better.
Like, right away, it feels really good.
Yeah, and you put a GameCube disc, like, the hole is big. It's a hole big enough for a Wii game, which is about the size of a DVD.
Yeah, so...
maybe slightly different from the size of a DVD. I haven't actually put them next to each other to find out.
So one of those little GameCube discs could really be sidewalling if you tried to stick it in there.
Yeah, you could put the GameCube disc in the middle. You could put it in the side. You could put it in the other side. and it'll suck it right in and work just fine no matter where you put it in that big old slot. It's really cool. I mean, you could just sit there putting GameCube discs in and taking them out all day.
And also, while you can stick a disc in upside down, it doesn't hurt anything. It doesn't scratch the disc. It just says, "Oh, I can't read this disc," and spits it back out.
Yep. The other thing is the Wii is really small, and you notice the people always in the pictures online or have it on its side in the little stand. I opted to just put it lying, face up like a little player.
Way to be different.
Horizontally. I just rested it right there. You'll see it in the picture I'm going to take.
Maybe we'll put it on top of the Mac Mini. We'll make a Nintendo Mac.
I don't know if we want to do that. Little heat issues. Plus, the Wii is a little longer than the Mac Mini, but it's shorter and less wide.
Yeah.
So that wouldn't balance.
Well, I want to make room for the Atari 7800 that's bigger than both of them combined.
Wow.
Think about that.
Yeah, the Atari 7800 is half air inside.
Yeah, and also, it has really big resistors. Like, if you look inside an old Atari system, it's the kind of board that I would solder on my own.
Yeah.
With parts from Radio Shack.
Yeah, a lot of electronics parts, like, back in the day. Like, a capacitor for, like, with a set amount of storage of capacitance.
Wow.
Yeah.
That was great.
Back in the 80s was a big thing, physically big. And today, you can get that same electronic part, but really, really small.
Miniaturization, which is probably one of the best advances in Civ 2.
Yeah, it probably is.
Yeah, it leads to all sorts of fun.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the Wii interface. Is you move this arrow around, and the coolest thing that I thought was when you move it around from item to item, it vibrates when you move it between items. You can it actually feels like all the buttons on the screen are physical buttons, and you're bumping over from one to the next.
Yeah, we can't stress how absolutely intuitive this is. I could hand this to my grandma. Well, not my grandma. I could hand this to my grandpa, and he would just immediately be able to use it.
Yeah, it's only because your grandma has problems.
Well, yeah, she has Alzheimer's.
Yeah, my grandma doesn't have Alzheimer's, and she probably couldn't. But my grandpa could after a few minutes. Wait, but he has a pacemaker, so he can't use it.
What?
Yeah.
What do you mean he gets a pacemaker, he can't use a Wii?
It says, apparently, it says on the Wii, if you have a pacemaker, don't play.
That's ridiculous.
That's what it says.
That's absolutely ridiculous.
There might be some kind of interference, maybe perhaps the Bluetooth or something.
There's no interference. If that was true, then people with pacemakers couldn't go near computers, which give off far more interference than the Wii.
That's what it says. That's what the internet says. I've seen the pic. It's in the manual, that the health and safety
That's just some
warnings.
sort of BS. It's like the epilepsy thing. They just don't
we'll
want to
get my
sued.
grandpa. We'll try to get him to play Wii golf and Wii bowling because he loves golf and bowling. And we'll see if he falls over.
Well, fun fact, a long time ago, it used to be microwaves had warnings, don't be around with a pacemaker. But modern microwaves are, for the most part, shielded enough to where it doesn't matter.
All right.
Your pacemaker's not going to have trouble with your microwave.
Yeah. Well, we'll find out when my grandpa tries to play Wii bowling.
Of course he's going to play Wii Bowling.
Of
Wii
course.
Bowling is one of the best games even though we solved it and it's over.
I solved it. You didn't.
I saw what you did. It didn't look too tough to do.
Yeah, we'll see if you can
We'll
do
get
it.
to all that.
Yeah. So,
Force feedback is awesome. The fact that the PlayStation 3 doesn't have Rumble really isn't cool, especially feeling how well the Wii is using Rumble.
yeah. I mean, I didn't care about when Rumble came out for the N64. I was like, whatever. Who gives a shit?
Yeah, well, the N64 Rumble was really ham-fisted. It was really the controller would either be sitting there normal or shaking wildly at semi-random times.
Yeah. And they had force feedback for joysticks on the PC a long time ago. And while I thought it was cool and semi-useful for a few games, especially space flying games, there was so many different standards for it and so many different joysticks. It just didn't pan out. And now it's a few people have all the patents for it, so that real force feedback for joysticks is dead, and so are flying games.
Yep.
So forget that.
And, Rumble really started getting good with the GameCube, where it was
mostly the PlayStation 1 and the PlayStation. When the DualShock came out, that's when Rumble was used properly.
Yeah, but a
really.
lot of games for those systems, even though they could have used it well, used it poorly.
Well, a lot of games for pretty much any game for once the DualShock came out, and as the GameCube and every other system that had Rumble, as soon as those systems existed, every game that came out was using Rumble. Some games used Rumble properly, and some games didn't use Rumble properly.
Yep, but
most games didn't use Rumble properly.
The games that used it well were the ones with very subtle, like your engine start, and there's this very, very faint rumbling in the controller, and then as you accelerate, the rumble increases, things like that.
Yeah.
Little things.
I mean, there were some games where it's like, you die, it rumbles a whole bunch. Other than that, it doesn't rumble at all. It's like good rumbling games, you'll know, use the rumble often, and they use it appropriately. Anyway.
Yeah.
The Wiimote makes sound. You probably know this. You barely even notice it when you're playing because it's just so natural.
Yeah,
but, like, if you took it, it's one of those things where you don't notice when it's there unless you're looking for it. But if someone took it away, you'd go, where'd it go? And you'd be pissed off.
There's little things, like in Wii Sports, when it's your turn, your controller goes ping.
Yeah, in Wii Bowling, you know, you sit there while someone else is bowling. You're just sitting there holding your Wiimote and, you know, picking your nose or whatever. And then when the other person's done bowling, your Wii shakes a little bit and makes a noise like, doo, go bowl.
Or when you're boxing and you hit someone well, it makes a hitting noise out of the Wiimote.
Yep, it's pretty cool.
And in terms of Rumble, actually, the Madden game, this is really cool. If you're choosing plays, you can hover over, like, you know, you point at what play you want, and you hover over whatever play.
Oh, yeah, okay, so, yeah, because in Madden, the problem is you'll pick a play, and everyone sees what play you picked. Uh-oh, now they're going to pick the perfect defense or the perfect offense to counteract the play you chose. If you hold the B button, which is the trigger on the bottom of the Wiimote, and pick a play with that, it won't actually look on the screen like that you picked that play. It'll look like you just passed over that play. Then you pick another play with the A button, and it looks like you picked that other play. But in reality, you picked the first play.
Now, it tells your partner, your teammate, if it's multiplayer, how this happened by making their Wiimote vibrate a little bit in their hand when you're pointing at the right play.
Yep. So if you have people on your team and you're the one who picks the plays, you pick a play, everyone knows on your team knows because their Wiimotes vibrate, and then you pick some other play to confuse the opponents.
Now, that to me is hot shit. That demonstrates one of the small but very awesome things you can do with this sort of technology.
Yeah, the Wii is really all about really small stuff. Lots and lots of incredibly small perfections. It's sort of like World of Warcraft in a way, in that they took the standard MMO, which basically I'm against the standard MMO, which is the reason I don't like World of Warcraft. But I got to give it to them, and that they took all the little things that were wrong with every other standard MMO, and they fixed all of them and polished all of them. The Wii is a game console, which I have no problem with, and they polished all the little things, so it's great.
Now, in terms of the Wiimotes themselves, I mean, way back when they first announced it, it was a little bigger. They, you know, made it smaller and such, and now it's really small.
It looks really small. You go, no way. But then you hold it, and you're like, it kind of fits my hand.
Yeah, it feels absolutely perfect.
I mean, I imagine someone with huge, freaking incredible Hulk hands is going to have a problem, and someone with little tiny hands is going to have a problem also. But everyone that was over our house, ranging from small people to big people, was doing just fine.
And in terms, I mean, you hold it sideways, so it's a normal controller, and it fits really well. It really feels good.
Yeah, in Excite Truck, you don't hold it like a remote. You hold it like an old NES controller with the arrows on the left and 1 and 2 on the right, and it works well. I'm really good at Excite Truck now.
Wow, Excite Truck, I got to say, that really proved to me how intuitive this is.
Yeah,
we sat down, Scott had played it a bunch of times, I finally sit down to race against him. And I sit there, the game starts, and I just kind of hold my Wiimote naturally. I had no idea how to play the game. I'd never even seen the game before. And, you know, it's 1, 2, 3, go. And I start going. And after about a minute of racing, I realized that I was using the Wiimote and that I wasn't touching buttons other than, you know, the gas button. And I was just steering with my hands. And I kind of expected the Wii to feel weird. You know, I'm moving the controller. I'm not hitting the D-pad or moving an analog stick. But I totally didn't notice that I was playing a Wii for a while.
Yeah, you expect it to be all fascinating, like, whoa. Like, you know, when you play virtual reality, like the calibration of everything always seems to be off. Like, you move the gun in a VR game, and then the camera angle moves crazily, and you can kind of feel it, and it's very noticeable. In the Wii, totally subtle. You don't even realize you're doing it.
That's probably the Wii's biggest strength, is just that absolute intuitiveness.
Mm-hmm. So we set up the Wii's internet connection, and it did its internet thing and updated with no problems. Apparently, some people are having problems updating the firmware, and I don't know what their problem is.
Yeah, luckily, it seems to be a very small minority, and Nintendo is right on that. If you actually have a problem...
Yeah, the Wii does have a warranty, and you can get it. But, I mean, every console that has come out in the past 10 years has had problems at launch.
No, but think of this.
It's to be expected.
If your PlayStation 3 doesn't work, when do you think Sony's going to give you another PlayStation 3? Nintendo, right now, they sold out, but they have more Wiis. Because if you have a problem, they ship you a Wii immediately.
Well, they ship you a Wii when you send them your Wii. So you're going to go a few days without a Wii.
Yeah.
But other than that, you'll get a new one.
I have a feeling, I'm not going to bash the PlayStation 3, but I don't think you'll get a PlayStation 3 real quick if your PlayStation 3 doesn't work.
Yeah. All right. So what comes next? We got the Wii modes, channels. All right. So let's talk about the Wii channels. The first channel I want to talk about is this photo channel.
This is really, really completely unnecessary, and yet at the same time, really, really nice.
So the photo channel, the front of the Wii has a little flap, and you open it up, and you can put in an SD card. I took the SD card out of my digital camera. It contained some pictures that we took and one video that I took. I don't know when I took the video, though.
I know when you took it. You were driving, and for some reason, you accidentally took a video.
I must have. Anyway, I put it in the Wii, and the Wii didn't say anything. And we went to the photo channel, and there were all the pictures. And we could look at all of them. We could zoom in all of them. We could draw on all of them. We could turn any picture into a puzzle, like a sliding piece puzzle to, whatever.
Yep. Most importantly, it had a slideshow.
And yeah, it had a slideshow that had epic sort of music. And it could, it can apply certain filters to any of the photos, make them brighter or negative or anything like black and white.
That part's kind of silly. They're completely useless.
Yeah, it's kind of dumb.
It's just fun.
You can
things.
save the modified photos to your... The Wii has some internal memory, so if you don't have an SD card, you can just save things to the memory in your Wii. An SD card is sort of like a memory expansion and also a way to, take things in and out of your Wii and to bring them with you. But you don't have to buy any memory cards for the Wii, really. You can just save everything in the Wii. Your virtual console games, you can save in the Wii or on an SD card, whatever you want.
Now, aside from that, that's really cool.
Yep.
There was the store channel.
Oh, well, first I got to mention one thing, though, is that the video that my digital camera took also worked on the Wii. We could make a puzzle out of the video, which will blow your mind.
that hurt my brain trying to watch that. Don't do it.
Yeah, everything you can do to photos, you can do videos. But it only works with JPEGs, standard JPEG AVI movies, and MP3s. Nothing else works in the Wii. So if you take an SD card out of a digital camera you were just using, it's probably going to work just fine. If you try to take photos off the internet and put them on an SD card, put it in your Wii, unless they're all JPEGs, this isn't going to... you can't take DivX movies or XVID movies and put them on an SD card.
Yeah, sorry, Ogvorbis, this isn't for you.
Yeah, it's maybe they'll fix that in a firmware update, because I can understand why they wouldn't include some formats, like, I don't know, AAC and WMA, but... There's no reason not to include OGG, which is free, other than no one cares about it.
Yeah, I think that's the primary reason.
Yeah, but it doesn't hurt to have it.
Well, it takes development effort to put it in.
It does, low priority, but anyway.
Yeah, but the store. Don't mind Scott coughing, he's still a bit sick.
Yeah. So in the store, you can buy you can buy more Wii channels and virtual console games.
There aren't any more Wii channels to buy yet. There will be. I imagine there's going to be a lot of fun things.
Yeah, so the two ways to get... First, you need Wii points. Now, usually, I'm wary of point systems because they're usually a scam. The reason people have point systems is because they want you to convert your money into points that can never be converted back into money. Then they hold on to your money, and they basically made money off you before you actually bought anything. It's like giving a store, like, $20 and saying, I'll buy something from you someday. But not right now. You just hold on to that money and make interest on it until, get 100% profit until I actually decide to come and take something from you. It's a great deal. The other reason they have point systems is because what they do is they make everything available worth some weird number of points so that it's impossible to get your account down to 0 points and thus not give them any more money.
Well, except actually with the Wii.
Yeah, so I was going to get to that. Usually you'll run down to like 100 points, and the cheapest thing in the store is 200 points. So you're like, I don't want to let them have that 100 points worth of money forever. I want to get something, for what I paid already, but I can't get anything. So now I got to put in more money to get something and then get my, it's very difficult to get your balance to 0. On the Wii, not so. In Japan, 1 yen is 1 point. In the U.S., 1 point is 1 cent. So $1 gets you like 100 points.
Yep, and you can just buy points.
You can just buy points. You can go to the store and buy a card that's 2,000 points for $20, and you scratch it off, and there's a number on it. You type the number into the Wii, and you're good to go. Or you can type your credit card number into the Wii and buy points directly from Nintendo. Then when you want to buy something, you just go into the store, click on what you buy, and click buy. And it takes points away and gives you whatever you bought. And that's all there is to it.
Yep, though another reason, and I can see why they would do this, the reason they like to use point systems like this, is that you've already paid for it, so now it doesn't feel like real money. I mean, if you tell someone, they're looking $5 for Mario Brothers, screw that. But 500 points for Mario Brothers, I have 2,000 points. That's almost nothing.
Yeah, every time I go and look at the Virtual Console, I keep it in mind that 100 points is $1. And I look and I see Pinball for the NES, which is a game I kind of want to play because I have some history with that game. And it has that fun little mini game with Mario and what's her name? Not the princess, but that other girl, where the ball bounces and Mario moves the metal thing back and forth. But it's like $5. I'm like, $5 for Pinball? I can get that like at $5 for $1 at the local store on an NES cartridge.
Yeah, or
I'll pay you 50 points for that, not 500 points.
Or for free on the internet.
Yeah. Like I could go to vnes.com with the Opera browser once it's available and play it there.
Yeah, but there's some games I imagine we'll buy, and I imagine that the prices on older games will eventually come down or something.
That's what I'm counting on. I'm hoping that as games, like the first games that came out in the Virtual Console were like Pinball, Zelda, Donkey Kong, etc., etc. In a year, those games are going to still be sitting in the Virtual Console. Now, either what they're going to do is take old games out and put in new games, and thus, you'll be like, oh, I missed out. Or the old games will sit in there, and they'll decrease them in price and number of points they cost so that more people will get them. And I hope they do the second thing.
Now, here's what I foresee. I imagine that eventually what they'll do is they'll take a lot of old games, put them into packages that you can then buy, like, for 1,000 points, get these 15 games from last year.
Yeah. The Virtual Console, the only real problem with it, besides it works great, is that it really does cost a bit too much for the games. I mean, when ice hockey comes out, I'll pay $5 for ice hockey. But most of the games, while I want them, and I kind of want them to play on my Wii, I'm not going to pay that money for them.
But I think a lot of people will.
A lot of people will. I felt the urge just to buy something for the sake of seeing how it worked, and I wasn't going to do it. But a lot of people, they bought Wii points when they bought their Wii. They go home. They want to spend those Wii points right away, see how it works. They're going to buy a game even if they wouldn't have bought it in the store for the same amount of money. It's a psychological thing. It works. I've seen it work on people.
Yep. But all that aside, perhaps the most entertaining thing, not even counting the games yet, on the Wii, is the Mii. M-I-I.
Yep, the Mii is actually, as soon as I found out about it, I knew it was going to be cool, but it's pretty damn cool.
Yeah, basically, in Wii Sports, this is the first game that uses this, but in the Wii itself, built in, one of the channels, you go to your Mii area, and you make an avatar. It's set up to where you make a human-like avatar. They took out anything weird or fanciful, so you're very much encouraged to make it look exactly like you look.
And so far, we've been able to make a Mii that looks pretty much like everyone we know.
Yeah, I mean, Brian and Yuko and Emily and everyone all made pretty perfect spot-on Miis. My Mii looks almost exactly like me.
Yeah, it's kind of scary.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we all made Miis, and we had a lot of fun just sitting around making Miis and telling other people how to make their Miis look more like them. And it's a pretty simple thing. Like, you choose the hairstyle, you choose the color, you choose the eyebrow style, you move it around, you rotate the eyebrows.
Yeah, I just love stuff like that. I don't know why, but creating characters in games is really, really fun for me.
Yeah, it's like, what was that City of Heroes game? It was only fun for the character creation part.
Or all those Korean, like, Build-A-Princess games.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Rim and his Korean Build-A-Princess.
Anyway.
So it's a lot of fun to make a lot of Miis. Now, in addition to making Miis, there are a few things you can do with them. First, you can, what was it?
You didn't know where you were going with that.
I got it.
First off, you can use them as your avatar in games that support it. It's you. So you can bring it around with you. You can save your Mii on your Wiimote.
Yep.
Or just leave them there.
Yeah, you can save your Mii on your Wiimote. Like, one Wiimote, the actual controller can hold, I think, like 10 plus Miis in it. So it's pretty, if you got to bring just your Mii to your friend's house, you can put it in your Wiimote, bring your Wiimote to your friend's house, and then unload your Mii and play.
So what you do in Wii Sports, at least, is you start the game, and in any game you want to play within it, you pick your Mii, and then it's actually you playing the game. It's just the avatar in the game is the Mii you made.
Yep.
So when we're boxing, it's a thing that looks exactly like me fighting a thing that looks exactly like Scott.
Yep. It's also fun because let's say you're doing bowling, and let's say I'm bowling and Rim's bowling. So those are the avatars that do the bowling. But sitting around the bowling alley are all the other Miis that we made.
And a bunch of random Miis.
Yeah, if you don't have enough Miis in your Mii area created, it just has random system Miis that it uses.
Like, we'd be bowling, I'd see Emily talking to Harry Suda in the background.
Yeah, we made a Mii for Harris.
Yeah, if you don't know who Harris is...
You didn't watch Gog Manga Biori like we told you to.
Yeah, probably one of the greatest anime ever made.
Oh, now it's one of the greatest anime ever made?
I'd say so.
Okay, so...
Now, in addition, that's all really cool. Now, remember how the Wii is on the internet.
Mm-hmm.
I have a Wii. My friend James has a Wii. We share our Wii numbers, which are a lot like DS friend codes.
Yes, you have to go into the message board, which I'm going to talk about pretty soon, and there's an address book. And in the address book, you can add people by their email addresses, which doesn't do anything yet because it doesn't let you send email. Or you can add people by their Wii number. And to get your Wii number, you just look at the front page of your address book, and it tells you your Wii number. So if I add James's Wii number to my address book, and he adds my Wii number to his address book, we are now connected.
Now, among other things, my Miis might just wander over to his Wii.
Well, they won't just wander over. First, you have to enable Mii traveling in the Mii parade section. Then, for any Miis that you want to travel, you have to set those Miis to mingle mode.
So you can have, private Mii. Like, Harris is a Geeknights Geek House exclusive. He's not allowed to go to other people's Wiis.
Yep. But all the other Miis, that represent our ourselves, go to all our friends, in their Mii parades, so that if we go to their house, there's a good chance that they'll just have our Miis already there.
Yep. You can also straight up send someone a Mii.
Yeah, well, yeah, if you go to the message board and send someone a message, you can attach a Mii to the message, which is like, here, check out this Mii. Or, you put a picture just to, so they can see at a glance who's sending them the message by looking at the Mii that's on the message. So that way, even though we only have one Wii that's mine, because I paid for it, Rim can send James a message with Rim's Mii attached, so James knows it's a message from Rim.
Yep.
And yeah, the message board area, it does a few pretty cool things. The first thing it does is it gives you every day, if you play your Wii, there will be a message telling you exactly what you did and when.
Played Wii Sports for 1 hour from this time to this time.
Played with Miis for 10 minutes. Played Virtual Console Mario Brothers for 20 minutes.
Now, I see a lot of ramifications for this. One, it's really fun to look back and laugh about how much time you spent playing with your Wii. Two, parents can go and say, all right, Billy, you played the Wii for 8 hours today.
This is a non-editable thing. I haven't found a way to remove it. There might be a way to just erase messages, but this is a permanent thing. There it is for all to see. It can be disheartening when you realize how much time you spent. It can be surprising if you spent less time than you thought. It's just pretty cool all around. The other thing it does is you can send messages to people. Now, you can send a message to yourself and just, leave messages up there, using the calendar. So let's say, instead of having a whiteboard on the fridge, you can use this system in the Wii to do the same thing as a refrigerator, whiteboard, calendar type of thing for the people in your house. You can also just send messages to other people. Like, I sent a message to James, hey, how you doing? He sent me a message back, hey, what's up?
Yeah.
It's like little Wii email. Not too useful right now, but maybe as more people start to make friends with each other, it'll become pretty cool.
Not only that, but just, in general, there's a lot of potential in the Wii that is going to be unlocked over time as more channels appear, more services become available. The Wii is very extensible and has a lot of opportunity.
Yeah, here's an example of interesting use of the message board area. I went into Wii Sports and I did the fitness workout training mode, and I got I think my Wii Sports age was 60, and I think the best is 20, so I did terribly. I hadn't been good at Wii Sports yet anyway. And it put a log of my Wii Sports performance in the message board. So I guess for games like DDR with diet mode, might put something in there, or any sort of game where you're building skill over time, or games where you might want to remember how well you played it in the future, or how well you did in the future. If they come out with Brain Age Wii, it'll totally do something like this. I can guarantee it. Maybe if you beat a game, it'll put something on the calendar so you can remember what day you beat it. Stuff like that. It'd be pretty cool.
I can imagine a lot of things. I can imagine a trophy room channel. I can imagine, God, we won't even get into that. I can imagine like a house area so they could set up where your me can live in.
Oh, wow.
Maybe you get Pokemon and you put them in your little me house.
Oh, Pokemon Channel is dangerous talk.
This game can do a lot. This system can do a lot. We haven't even touched the games yet, and we're not going to. We're going to review the games separately in another episode. But before we end tonight, I think we'll each say one sentence about each of the games we played.
I just wanted to talk about one other thing.
What other thing?
The MP3 playing.
All right. I totally forgot about that.
If you have MP3s on your SD card, it is possible for the Wii to play them. The most interesting use of this is currently Excite Truck. No other game does this that I know yet. I haven't tried, though.
I wish Madden did it. God damn.
Yeah. EA Sports games with their MTV crap music. But if you play Excite Truck, it has this standard rock music in it. It's okay. You can tell Excite Truck to, instead of playing that standard rock music, to play MP3s from your SD card instead. And that's pretty cool.
So you can play Excite Truck to Geeknights if you really want.
Yeah, you could totally take Geeknights, put it in your SD card.
You know what I would play too? A loop of that laughing insanity test from way back.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. But all right, let's go through the games, and then we'll call it a night so I can go to bed and hopefully sleep off this minor sickness that has been ailing me. And Scott, who has been coughing constantly throughout the episode.
I was feeling sick before. Now I'm not feeling sick, but because I'm talking so much for this episode, it's starting to bother my throat, and it gets scratchy, and then I cough, and there's a lot of mucus moving around. That's all that's really wrong with me right now is I got a lot of mucus in motion.
Yeah.
I got to get the mucus out.
I sympathize. I only bring it up because that means I have to sit here editing out as many coughs as I can.
Yeah.
It's all right.
It's fine.
Yeah, it won't be so bad.
Yeah.
But yeah, what game? Wii Sports. We'll do a sentence each per game.
Okay.
Wii Sports is really, really intuitive and really, really fun.
Wii Sports makes better use of the Wiimote than any other game that I've played yet.
Monkey Ball.
I haven't played the single player. The multiplayer is half really awesome minigames and half absolutely terrible minigames.
Exactly what Scott said. It was worth purchasing, though.
Yeah, Rim bought that one.
Yes, I did.
Because I'm not a fan of Monkey Ball.
Excite Truck is very, very fun with lots of crashing.
Excite Truck is a very good formulaic truck driving game, yet somehow it's really fun.
All right, you got Trauma Center, didn't you? I didn't play it yet.
Trauma Center is DS Trauma Center, exactly, ported to the Wii, plus another Trauma Center game. It's like getting the DS episodes and plus a whole bunch of new episodes.
I have not played Trauma Center.
Awesome.
Zelda Twilight Princess looks like it's going to cause minor orgasms for me.
I played it for 10 seconds just because I don't have time. I got to really sit down with that one for an extended period of time. And part of the Wii philosophy is short game playing, is that I really haven't had time.
Yeah.
This weekend for sure, Zelda action.
Definitely. Well, for you, I'll be out of town.
Yeah.
Crying.
Ah.
Nah, I'll be having good food. It's all good. All right. Madden is a typical but probably well-executed football game that I need to play more of before I can pass judgment.
If you like football and you understand football, then Madden will be fun. It makes use of the Wiimote, but it doesn't make use of the Wiimote in a good way. It makes use of the Wiimote in an average, no-brain kind of way.
Wow, there were a lot of semicolons and such in what you just said.
Yeah.
It's all right.
It could make better use of the Wiimote than it does.
Yeah, it uses the remote more like mouse gestures in black and white than a Wiimote where you throw the football and depending on how you throw it, that kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is probably fine.
It is fine. It could be better.
Yeah, it could be better. But there were a lot of DS games that didn't use the touchscreen to its full capacity, but were still really good games.
They were.
I mean, in some, the Wii is freaking awesome. I am so incredibly pleased with this. I think it is going to be I think it has a decent chance of, in terms of this console war that may or may not be actually happening, I think the Wii has a chance to come out on top, not just in second place.
No, I think that pretty much anyone who plays the Wii is going to go, as long as, because there's a game out there for everyone. I mean, you got everything. They got the Call of Duty game. They got a bunch of kids games based on some recent cartoon properties and such. You know, they got Excite Truck. They got Wii Sports. They got Madden. They got all the bases covered depending on what your gaming taste is. And these are the launch titles. You know, I mean, Metroid and Mario and all that other stuff is coming out soon. They got Zelda, you know. So as you play the Wii game that is right for you, I can't imagine that you wouldn't go, I mean, it's going to be hard to find someone out there who isn't like, you know, a blind Nintendo-hating Sony fanboy or something who's going to go, man, the Wii sucks. Anyone who's played it and has played the game that is made for them, I can't imagine you saying, whatever.
You know who wouldn't enjoy the Wii? A man with no hands.
Someone with no hands would not like the Wii.
Not at all.
No. But you know who would like the Wii? A man with no legs. A man with no legs would love the Wii. The Wii would be the best thing ever.
Right. We're off for the holidays. We will see you next Monday when we will, the coming Monday after this weekend, where we will continue our series on hard drives and file systems because you all really seem to like that a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And, well, Tuesday we'll probably actually review some of these Wii games as we've finally probably been able to have a chance to play them for more than a few minutes.
Well, hey, Rim, if you're going to be all sad about not playing the Wii this weekend, why don't you go buy Final Fantasy 3 DS? And
it's $40.
I know.
If it were $35, I'd buy it in a second. The problem is that's the upper limit. I want the game, but I know I could just borrow it from Alex a month from now for nothing.
I'm not buying it because I was planning to borrow it from you.
Yeah, but you know what? We'll lend Alex Phoenix Wright, and then we'll get 3, and then we'll pass it around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was just figuring if you got it, you could talk about that.
Maybe I will. I'll be in Rochester, which means I'm coming back with some board games.
Yeah, call me when you're at Millennium, and I'll look up on the Board Game Geek whatever you see.
Yeah, maybe we'll play those board games after
There
the
are a couple games that came out at Essen that I know are hot stuff, and I want to check them out.
All right, so everyone out there, have a good Thanksgiving. I don't think...
If you're not from the United States, Thanksgiving is a holiday that's not really that meaningful historically, but we celebrate it, and we eat lots of good food, so we don't care.
Yep, and
It's an excuse to eat food.
I'm not going to be around on the forums. I don't
watch football.
I don't know if Mr. Period's going to be around. I swear to God, if we come back and the forums are full of shit-cocking and bad grammar, there will be hell to pay.
I'll be on the forums on Saturday at the latest, so...
Yeah. You know what? It might be you having to correct people's grammar, which I imagine is not as fun as it sounds.
No, not really. We still need like a Mr. Comma or a Mrs. Comma.
Yeah, we need some more moderators at this point.
Or a Joe semicolon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, starting next week, I think we're going to talk about exactly how we may or may not choose to have another moderator, because Mr. Period's hands are full, and while I and Scott also have the power to edit your posts, I don't have time for that shit.
It's really, and you people are making such long posts, so many mistakes. It's really not, it's not easy.
No, I would say that 99% of the mistakes rest in 1% of the people in the forums.
Yeah, that's true. If you have free time and you hang around our forums and you have good grammar and spelling, send us an email.
Yeah, we'll come up with some sort of death match to figure out who is going to be the next moderator.
Geeknights at frontrowcrew.com.
And such.
Mm-hmm.
Right. This has been Geek Nights with Rim and Scott. Special thanks to DJ Pretzel for the opening music.
Be sure to visit our website at www.frontrowcrew.com, where you'll find show notes, links, our awesome forum, a link to our Frapper map, and links to all the RSS feeds.
We say feeds plural because Geek Nights airs 4 nights a week, covering 4 different brands of geekery. Mondays are science and technology. Tuesdays, we have video games, board games, and RPGs. Wednesdays are anime, manga, comic nights. And Thursdays are the catch-alls for various rants and tomfoolery.
You can send us feedback by email to geeknights@frontrowcrew.com. Or you can send audio feedback via Odeo. Just click the link that says Send Me an Audio on the right side of our website.
If you like what you hear, you can catch the last 100 episodes in iTunes or in your favorite podcatcher. For the complete archives, visit the website, which has everything.
Geeknights is distributed under a Creative Commons Attribution Non-Commercial Share-alike 2.5 license. This means you can do whatever you want with it as long as you give us credit, don't make money, and share it in kind. Geeknights is recorded live with no studio and no audience. But unlike those other late shows, it's actually recorded at night.